Greetings and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you for viewing this video. Feel free to hit the subscribe button below and like the video and comment on it as well. Now this video, well, without further ado, I'm of course Hirsch Saha, reporting from Auckland, New Zealand, and just another one of the many videos on this channel. And basically this video, exercising made simple, just really one to complement the last one I made, which was eating right made simple. I thought I'd make this one on, I guess, the other big part of, what contributes to your overall health and well-being. Of course, there's diet, there's exercise. Don't forget there are many more things as well, but let's now focus on exercise. So, okay, exercising made simple. Again, like I said in the previous video, we are absolutely bombarded with information on this topic, and it is everywhere, whether in books, on TV, on the internet, just through friends and family, what people tell you, what you learned at school. It is absolutely everywhere. What I want to do here, like I did in the previous video on eating right, I just sort of want to give you a nice, good summary, based on everything that I have learned and heard about and read and researched and gone through. Just a nice, good summary, and hopefully you pick up a few things from it, at least to aid you in your overall toolkit when it comes to taking better care of yourself in terms of exercise. So really, when it comes to exercising, yes, a bit like eating well. Remember, not too much exercise, not too little either. Right? And we've usually heard about, every each adult should do about 10,000 steps a day, which is actually quite a bit. I remember actually reading that even 10,000 steps a day is pretty good, but even 7,500 steps a day is acceptable. 7,500 steps a day, and I would go even further. I'd say, remember, that doesn't mean that you make sure that you do that run or that walk every single day. That is up to 7,500 steps, because don't forget, just your everyday walking and everything you do each day also counts. Every single thing you do counts, So keep that in mind, and the thing with exercise is that, especially if you're one who hates exercise, like myself, like I'm sure many of you out there, the thing is to try to incorporate it into your everyday lifestyle, like for example walking to work and therefore having to walk back from work. Of course, if you work much further away from where you live, that may not be possible. Completely understood. But you just try to incorporate it into your everyday lifestyle, or say the amount of housework you have to do every week. And I've done this many times before. Say each week you have to clean the bathroom once, vacuum the whole house, clean the kitchen every morning and probably every evening as well. Whatever else you need to do, perhaps mow the lawns, attend to the garden, do those, wash the car once a week too. Do those things, because obviously they count as exercise. And they, and what I loved about doing this, and I've done this many times before, is that you're really killing two birds with one stone. You get the housework done, and you also get your exercise done. So with exercise, try to incorporate it into your everyday life. Of course, if you're happy to go to a gym, say 3 or 4 times a week, there's that too. There's that as well. Otherwise, if you really don't like going to the gym, like me, I absolutely hate going to the gym. I could probably remember all the times I've been to the gym in my whole life, because it's hardly ever, Um, Again, yes, this is the way to do it. Incorporate into your everyday life, such as walking to and from work or school, or doing a lot of more household tasks, or just whatever else you need to do, or sometimes instead of, say, driving that short distance to run an errand, you walk there, and therefore you have to walk back. And again, it's exercise. Incorporate it into your everyday life so it actually happens, and you save time because you're doing what you need to do as well as getting your exercise done. And if you're one who hates going to the gym, hey, you save on paying the gym membership as well. You save on paying the gym membership as well. Not to put you off gyms, I do remember once seeing a documentary that said the hidden disadvantage of going to a gym is that you're using machines and weights and equipment that obviously many other people have used. And obviously when other people are working out, they obviously sweat. And of course, it's a courtesy to clean up after yourself, but not always does everyone do that. Or when they do that, they probably sometimes they don't always do it as thoroughly as they should. So unfortunately, germs do get passed on through sweat that people leave on machines and what have you. So there is also that. And to be honest, actually, when I saw that documentary, that kind of put me off gyms as well. And you think, okay, geez, yeah, many people use those machines and those mats, the floors, and lying on the floors, doing all sorts of exercises and that. Many people use those showers as well, don't they? Those same changing rooms. So there's a lot of chances there to catch germs. So that, again, not trying to put you off the gym. Not saying you shouldn't go to a gym, but it's another thing to keep in mind that if you avoid the gym, not only do you save on a gym membership, you could even be saving on potentially catching a lot of germs as well. But otherwise, coming back to it, so with exercise, okay, not too much, not too little, something every day, or at least say something every 2 days, or say something if you do go to a gym, for example, say something 3 or 4 times a week. I think it should be about half an hour to 45 minutes average per day of exercise for an adult, half an hour to 45 minutes. But again, it really depends on what you do, not just simply how long it takes, right? Yes, 10,000 steps a day, even 7,500 steps will do. And don't forget what it is that you do in your everyday life, because that also counts as well. And again, try to incorporate more from your everyday life as exercise. One thing I've also learned about exercise is that when you do the exact same workout or routine at the exact same time every single day, for example, a run or a walk, um, what actually happens, unfortunately, so your body becomes immune to it. That is why it becomes easier. As you do more and more of it, it becomes easier because your body becomes immune to it. Not saying that you shouldn't do it. It still helps, and it's obviously better to do it than to not do it. But your body becomes immune to it. That's why it becomes easier, and therefore the payoff, or in terms of the calories burned and the amount of good received from the exercise, becomes gradually starts to become less and less. The so-called theory of diminishing returns, if you like. So keep that in mind. If you can sort of make your exercise different each day, if possible, do that. So, one day or 2 days or 3 days a week, you walk to work. Another day you walk for an errand. Another day you vacuum the house. Another day you clean up the bathroom. You clean the bathroom. Another day you do some gardening and wash the car. Every day you're also cleaning the kitchen every morning and night. Something a bit different. Mix it up a bit. Give it some variety. And again, remember, it all counts. So, not saying you have to do one thing that gives you 7,500 steps a day. You could just be doing 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day on your workout, but all your other stuff makes up for the rest. What I tried to do in the past, or what I have done in the past when working in childcare, I remember, working in early childhood, for example, even in before and after school care with the primary school aged children. And you're always on your feet in that job. You're always on your feet running around with the kids, watching the kids. If you're working in early childhood, sometimes picking up the babies and the little kids, tending to them, and then moving around, following them, making sure they don't go too far away, or they don't go, into a bad place or a place they shouldn't be, or just making sure that they don't, bump into obstacles or trip over stuff, things like that. You're always moving around. And also, I remember when working in early childhood and working before and after school care, the kids will leave messes, they leave toys and books and what have you, furniture lying all over the place. You kind of have to clean up after them, and you're always kind of bending down and picking this up, picking that up. And it's actually very good exercise. It really is very, very good exercise, especially if you do. It might not be intense exercise, but if you're doing that for, say, 7 hours a day, that's not bad. 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's not bad. And I used to do that. I did that for a number of years. I worked as a babysitter. I worked in before and after school care and holiday programs, and I worked in early childhood education. So, so that's basically when it comes to exercise. Yes, not too much, not too little. Try not to strain yourself too much, like overdoing it with weights, because of course it can become bad for you if you overdo it. Adding in one more thing, exercise at the best time of day that suits you. If you're having a very stressful day and you're very tired, even if it's from work on the computer or work at a desk, if you're very stressed and you're very tired, then okay, perhaps leave your exercise for that day, because if you're very stressed and tired, sometimes having to do exercise on top of that can actually make things worse, if you know what I mean. It can really drain you, and then make you feel drained the following day, and that pattern continues. You don't have to exercise absolutely every single day. Try to aim for a good average. But otherwise, in summary, exercise made simple, not too much, not too little, 7,500 steps a day in total, with not just the exercise you do, but with everything else you do a day is good. Try not to overdo it. You can also do exercise that suits you, whether you like jogging or just power walking or doing housework. Try to incorporate it into your everyday life. Try to mix it up a bit, have some varieties. That's not always the exact same thing every day that your body becomes immune to. And yes, try to, like I said, kill two birds with one stone, like doing housework, running errands, as well as perhaps sometimes walking to work, which will even save you money on what would have been, public transport, or say if you drive to work, petrol and other car costs. So try to incorporate into your everyday life with commuting or housework or running errands. That certainly helps, kills two birds with one stone. Try not to stress so much about it. If anything, try to make it fun, and I guess that is basically it in an absolute nutshell. Exercise made simple. Hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you got something out of it. Thank you.